part-time job, whatever that is. But along with that, I think it is very important that we also maintain our identity of what we like, who we are, apart from, I don't want my identity to be that, hey, I'm a product manager at Razorpay, although that is a part of what I do. But I still want that, hey, I want to be known as Kritagya, who used to click or who clicks good pictures, who makes good videos, who tells good stories. So that is what I want to be known for as well, apart from that. And there's something that I like. It is not that I'm just doing this to be known. I genuinely love when I sit for 6 hours and I edit videos. I love the process. I love the process of making videos. I love the process of clicking pictures and all of that stuff. So that is what drives me, that I love what I do. Even right now on my desk, you'll see that the camera is just sitting right there. It is because that I just try to keep doing something whenever I get time. So that is what it is. Just one thing, if in case my internet breaks or something, just let me know, so that I just don't keep on speaking. Everything is audible, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. So I'll just take you quickly through, where was I when I was back in my first year, when I did not know anything about clicking pictures, apart from the fact that, hey, my phone has a camera and it can click pictures. So I got a phone. I got a new phone when I got admission in IIT. It was not very difficult to convince my parents that, hey, get me a new phone, because I got into IIT. They were like, "हाँ ठीक है, ले क्या दिक्कत है." So yeah, this is Amir Fort, Jaipur. I clicked this back in 2016, and this is the same place in 2018, almost 2 years apart. Same fort, just a little better quality and a little better framing.
So your
IIT
voice is breaking a bit.
Roorkee again. And hold on for a second. Give me a second. Just let me switch places. Yeah. I hope this is better. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Sure. So I think, so basically, fun fact was the fact that both of these pictures are clicked on phone. This was a Redmi Note 3 at that time. This was clicked on OnePlus 7. And yeah, of course, I think any decent phone at this point of time is going to be able to click the same picture. Again, college at night. This was back in my first year, when there was a Pinjra Tod movement that girls are now able to step out of hostel at any time of the day. That was the thing. So everyone was lighting candles. I had a camera at that time. Luckily, I had a DSLR that I had borrowed from my friend, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a good opportunity. I should click some pictures. And I was like, oh, damn, brilliant! This is such a good picture that I've clicked. But when I look back at it now, not so good. But yeah, same place. Same night ka time, and 2 years later, this was something. Dogs, I think, who does not love them? At least even if we are afraid of them, we still love them. But yeah, this is something. This is again a stray dog I found in Delhi back in 2018. Clicked on a DSLR though, but yeah, still 2 years improvement. I think that is what I was that is just what I wanted to show. uh, I think most of you did not get a lot of opportunity to go on trips after you got admission here at Roorkee. But whenever you do, just remember that you have to take pictures, even if they are not as good. But just keep in mind that you will improve. This was back in December. This was back in actually April 2017, versus this was in October 2018. So this is a 1 year difference between, almost 1.5 year difference between both of the pictures. And well, you can see that clouds don't look as bad, trees don't look as bad. So this is a picture that I'm really proud of. So yeah, do go on trips, click good pictures. That is a motto. An embarrassing picture. This is something I made back in 2016, before Avengers, Endgame, Infinity War was a thing. So I did it before it was cool, but did not look really good. So, and this is something I clicked back in 2020. So yeah, even I've improved on my experimentation and the execution of it. But this was real fire. I won't recommend anyone trying it, and please don't. Otherwise, I'll start getting calls from the administration कि हे क्या बता रहे हो तुम लोग ये photography workshop के नाम पे. तो वो नहीं करना please. Uh, so yeah, but of course, I just want to quickly discuss two things today in the next half an hour. First is कि यार how did I get started? मतलब कि specifically to the context कि how did Roorkee give me photography? And the second thing that I would want to cover is how do I click portraits, and how do I like, and that is the best genre of photography that I actually like even today, because I love working with people. So how do you go about that? So those are the two things that I'm going to cover. Just so ठीक है, sure, let's get into it. Any doubts, anything that anyone has that they want me to discuss right now? I'll just look at the chat quickly if anyone has any doubts. I think you're not audible. अच्छा ठीक है, okay,
I don't think there's any question posted yet in the chat box. You
cool.
guys can raise hand, or you can surely write it in chat box as well.
If you have any questions, just put it in chat for now. We'll use the last 20 minutes of this session to do a sort of Q&A, live Q&A type. So let's do that after. So yeah, I will continue. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so but how did it all start, right? So the first picture that I ever clicked from the new phone that I got was this one, which is the one that you see here. I had went to the market to actually get a tempered glass for the phone, and this is something when I actually saw, okay, oh, okay, I can act like it was pretty accidental that I was able to click this picture, but at the end I was like, okay, oh, pictures are nice. Like it's good to be able to click good pictures. Then I came to campus. The campus is definitely very photogenic. You don't have to put a lot of effort to actually make it look good, and I think that is what was the moral boost for me. That I had a couple of other friends that had iPhones, etc. when they got into college, and they were also clicking good pictures like from the phone, because who was not clicking pictures, right? uh, then I saw a post by the photography section back in my first month in college, and I still remember one of the pictures which was of this church. So this is a picture that I tried to recreate of the one that I saw on the photography section ka page. But I saw that picture and I was like, yeah, damn, people are so creative, talented, like all of that stuff. I would never be able to match that standard. That is what I thought when I first looked at those bunch of 5 6 pictures, out of which I remember the church wala photo for sure. So I was like, यार ठीक है, मतलब ठीक है, मतलब they click good pictures, they edit very well, and they are creative. I'm just not creative. मेरे को ऐसे creative चीजें आती नहीं थी, मतलब ऐसा सा सीन था. तो देन आई वाज लाइक, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, मतलब ठीक है, नहीं कर सकते शायद, आगे बढ़ो. बट देन फिर उसके बाद दैट स्टिल स्टक विद मी समवेयर, एंड आई वाज लाइक, यार ठीक है, ट्राई तो करते हैं कि हाउ क्लोज आई कैन कम टू दैट, क्रिएटिंग दैट पिक्चर. एंड इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट दिस एंगल ऑफ द पिक्चर दैट आई सॉ ऑन द सेक्शन का पेज. फेसबुक का टाइम था तब, तो फेसबुक के पेज पे देखा था. एंड हाँ, so that is something I did. I just clicked picture, थोड़ा बहुत एक्सप्लोर किया कि क्या होता है, HDR मोड क्या होता है फ़ोन में, वगैरह वगैरह. एंड उसको कुछ पता नहीं था, आई वाज जस्ट एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग स्टफ, राइट? तो फिर उसके बाद आई एडिटेड अ लिटिल, एंड दैट इज हाउ आई थॉट कि चलो फ़ोन से भी फ़ोटो ले सकते हैं हम लोग. I went on a trip. I think this I have covered in several of places. Ki basically, this is the first time I actually clicked a ton of pictures. Like first time I used a DSLR. uh, and yeah, then after that I think every event that used to happen in campus, I was there, although I was not a part of the photography section back then in my first year. But I was still just go, because no one stops you in campus to do things like these, that if you're helping someone voluntarily, no one would stop you. So photography section ke log would actually be there to click pictures, and I was just there voluntarily ki, hey, I also want to click, I also want to learn. So that is how I just ended up starting to click pictures at these events, and started learning in the process. Initially I was very bad. I have not attached those images, of course, but yeah, that is how sort of went about it. Got a camera, clicked more stuff, learned more stuff. uh, yeah, but out of all of this, right, so when I was clicking like landscape or monuments, all of that stuff, that was nice. But I still felt that, it's difficult. Like, it is possible people do that, but I felt it was difficult for me to bring out any uniqueness of myself in those pictures. I was not able to tell a very good story when I'm clicking those monuments or stuff. So I was like, it's better when I click actually living humans. Like, there's much more variation that I can present. Like, even if someone else goes and clicks a picture of this uncle jo ki old Delhi mein the, I don't think it would be similar to this one in any manner, because he has aged, he has different mood, he's doing different work in his shop, all of that stuff. So I think that is why, working with humans, even if it's street, even if it's portrait, was something that was very different. And that is something that taught me. I am also a very extrovert person, मैं बहुत बात करता हूँ यार, तो उस केस में it's fun to work with people, even if it's street, even if it's portraits. Again, मतलब it involves interacting with humans in some manner. कि अगर तुम street photography भी कर रहे हो, I think people, if someone is not aware कि street photography क्या, I'll cover it in the end. बट लोग पूछते हैं यार कि क्यों फोटो खींच रहे हो, अरे किसके लिए खींच रहे हो, अच्छा, तो दैट इन दैट सॉर्ट इट्स समथिंग दैट आई वाज लाइक कि हाँ ठीक है, लोगों से बात करने को मिलेगा, लेट्स डू दैट. uh, and clicking street, I got again a paid opportunity to shoot for a trucking brand. Just they wanted me to show the lives of people who are working in those truck yards, drivers, etc. So again working with people, all of them were camera conscious कि अरे भैया किसी के लिए खींच रहे हो फोटो. This guy, I was a pretty young guy, but then he was also like कि पोस्ट कर देता हूँ आपके लिए, same with this guy. But some of the people, I couldn't have all of them looking into the camera or stuff. सो आई हैड टू इंस्ट्रक्ट पीपल एज वेल कि हे आप अपना काम करो यार, ऐसे करो, या फिर आप हाँ आप ये करते रहो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ऐसे, सो दैट दे आर नॉट कैमरा कॉन्शियस. So that is the aim at the end of the day when you're clicking picture of any human being. uh, from street, which was the easier one since I had to show people in the candid environment, I thought ki what if I just pick my friends and I ask them ki hey pose, like a proper portrait shoot, what people generally call. So yeah, I started off with some of my friends. I have not posted the initial wale pictures because they were not very good. I don't want to embarrass myself and them. But yeah, the initial pictures were very bad, with almost all of my friends that I started clicking with. But eventually, these are the best of the results that I'm very proud of, that we were able to work with. So yeah, that is how it went for portraits. How did I do that? I'll cover it in the coming sections, coming slides. Again same thing, again, but just this time it was a little more tricky. When I was doing it, I had to do this with kids that were 14 or 15, along with their parents who were like 40 or something. So then it was a step up in terms of how do I tell that 50-year-old uncle ki hey uncle, आप कैमरा कॉन्शियस मत हो, आपको ये करना है, और आपको कैसे करोगे. तो that was a very tricky thing that had to come to. And yeah, after that, it was just me directing myself because there was no one when the lockdown hit. I was just trying stuff on my own. I was just directing myself in terms of I don't think I'll call them regular portraits, but just that that it has a human element to it. So that is that. And then after that, again tried something new. I clicked pre-wedding back in January 2021, for a senior of mine who was from Roorkee itself. So he was like, यार bro देख, हमसे फोटो तो नहीं खिंचवाई जाएगी किसी और से, बट तेरे को जानते हैं तो तू खींच ले, मतलब ऐसे तू बस समझा देना कैसे करना है, एंड उसके बाद कर लेंगे, देख लेंगे जैसी फोटोज आएंगी फिर. So that is how that went ki, again directing two people and not making it awkward or very generic. That was the next step up that I tried to learn. But all of this story to ho gaya ab, theek hai, the story is done, this is the story. But how did I actually go about in every of these situations, right? Ki how did I level up on each of these parts, and how did I direct people, how did I think ki what should be the frame in terms of कि कैसे मैं लोगों को बोलूँ कि यार ऐसे खड़े हो और अच्छी फोटो आएगी, right? I'll cover that next. Just one very big disclaimer which I always tell people: it's not necessary that you need a camera, you need a DSLR to do any of this. All of these 5 pictures that you see in this frame, all of them were clicked on a phone, OnePlus 5T पे सारी फोटोज खींची है मैंने. not even the OnePlus Nord, OnePlus 5T पे सारी photos है, and it's like a 6-year-old phone now. So 5-year-old phone, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, your gear, eventually actually does not matter if you know what you are doing. So that is that. All of these pictures, portraits that you see of a friend of mine, these are also all clicked on either phone. So OnePlus 5T pe clicked the picture that you see on the right, and the rest 3 photos are clicked on a GoPro. Now a GoPro has a very small sensor. Its sensor is of the size of a mobile phone these days, and its photo quality is actually worse than a mobile phone. Like it has a 12 megapixel camera, and the noise quality is very bad, especially in lower light situations. So yeah, that is something that just wanted to tell that your phone is the best thing that you have. So just do the best that you can on that. All right. uh, Anything that is on the chat that I need to look at, folks?
Um, there's a query like, please tell sources where you edit your clicks.
Sure. Okay, cool. I will cover that in the coming section. No issue, right?
Yeah, and also there's a query like these photos, the ones you showed, like the ones on the that are on the screen, these are edited, right?
Yes. So all of these pictures are edited. Yes. Now it's a discussion. It's a very long, very old discussion that hey, should you edit our pictures or not, or like Photoshop use करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए types. And it's of course like if you are making something creative, then in my opinion, every tool is okay to use. You know, as long as you are able to tell what imagination you have in terms of the picture. So yeah, all of these pictures I edited at the end of the day. Even photoshopped at times, like some like in portraits, of course you have to make sure that, like for example, if I take off any of these pictures, so a skin can never be this perfect. That is true. But even if you look at any good fashion magazine or etc., it is not like the skin it is not retouched, or there's no makeup. So for my case, for the lack of makeup that my friends had, they did not used to do makeup a lot. So I used to clean up that using editing. So it's definitely highly photoshopped, yes. But is it necessary for the creative result that I want? Also yes, in my opinion. So yeah, that's that. How did I go about that? That is something that I'm covering. Just I want to start with very basics, which just everyone should know. This is the like the ground rules, the baseline. तो अब इसमें ऐसा है कि डोंट रिमेंबर द नेम ऑफ द रूल्स, मतलब कि रूल ऑफ थर्ड्स है कि रूल ऑफ फोर्थ है, फर्क नहीं पड़ता. बट बेसिकली इसके पीछे पीछे की फिलोसफी क्या है, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. मेरे को तो पता भी नहीं था. मेरे को 1-1.5 साल हो गया था फोटो खींचते हुए. आई वाज इन द फोटोग्राफी सेक्शन, और उसके बाद कोई तो एक वर्कशॉप था फोटोग्राफी सेक्शन, उसमें किसी ने बोला रूल ऑफ थर्ड्स ही होता है. तो मेरे को लगा ओ ये मैं करता तो हूँ, बट मेरे को नाम नहीं पता. तो दैट इज द थिंग, राइट? कि नाम तो ठीक है, तुम्हें नाम पता हो नहीं पता हो, दैट इज ओके, बट यू जस्ट शुड नो कि व्हाई यू आर डूइंग इट. So in case of portraits or in general in photos, so you must have seen some sort of grid on your phone. कि if you look at your phone का mobile app, there is some sort of grid that you can enable on your phone. So this is a 3x3 grid. जैसे कि ये दो कि basically 3 sections में divide हो रहा है, right? Now what this at a high level explains is कि ये जो 4 dots हैं, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4, if any of the things are on any of these dots, then it gets the most attention in your picture. ठीक है? I'll repeat कि 4 dots हैं कि यहाँ पे ये lines meet कर रही हैं, 1, 2, 3 और 4. अगर यहाँ पे इसमें से कोई भी एक important part of your image है इन 4 dots में से, then it drives the most attention of someone looking at the pictures. So in this case, of course, कि the closer eye of the subject, that is supposed to be on that dot. या फिर ये जो बच्ची है उसका जो सर है, that is almost at that dot or at that line. Same for the wolf in this picture, right? There's also a very important thing कि whenever you have a subject that is looking in either this direction or this direction, right? जिस direction में वो देख रहा है, in that direction there should be more space. Like if you look at all 3 of these examples, the kid is looking in this direction, and यहाँ पे ज़्यादा space है compared to उसके पीछे वाली तरफ जहाँ पे वो नहीं देख रही है. तो जहाँ पे the person is not looking, उसको negative space बोलते हैं. And there should always be more space जिस तरफ वो देख रहा है. कि for example, if I want to describe this using जो मेरा करंट कैमरा ऑन है, जस्ट गिव मी अ सेकंड, हाँ। सो नाउ इफ आई लुक एट दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग, व्हाट इट ड्राइव्स इज कि मेरे पीछे स्पेस कम है, बट मैं यहाँ पे देख रहा हूँ, सो योर फोकस इज गोइंग टू बी कि मैं किस तरफ देख रहा हूँ, कंपेयर टू द फैक्ट कि मैं यहाँ खड़े होके और मैं ऐसे देखूंगा, देन द पिक्चर वुड लुक वेरी एम्प्टी कि यार ये फोटो कुछ तो गलत है, कि मतलब मैं कहाँ देख रहा हूँ, ये मुझे कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है इन द फोटो इटसेल्फ। So that is also an application of using grades या using rule of thirds या जो भी बोल लो तुम उसको फिर, कि there should be more space in front of, कि जहाँ पे वो तुम्हारा सब्जेक्ट, क्योंकि तुम्हारा इंसान मान लेता हूँ इस केस में, तुम्हारा जो इंसान है, तुम्हारा जो सब्जेक्ट है, वो जिस तरफ देख रहा है उस तरफ there should be more space in the picture that you have. So in my case, right, if I just show you through the examples that I have, so now in this case, this is, so she is looking samne, so that is to a different case. But in this case also, this is just a cut picture, ye cut gaya ek to sab usme. But basically, I'll just show you the original picture as well. But how it looked like is ki now if I draw two lines, which is one here and one here, there's supposed to be more space here than uske पीछे वाले side में होनी चाहिए. Sorry. Almost similar in this case. I have just not cropped it well in the presentation, but of course there should be more space in this direction, since her face is pointing in, from left to right. Therefore right side में थोड़ी ज़्यादा space होनी चाहिए compared to the left side of the picture. Same I could describe for probably this photo, कि again this photo is supposed to have more space here, more things here, क्योंकि she is looking in this direction. So and her face is from left to right, so there should be definitely more space on this side compared to this side, otherwise the picture is going to look imbalanced. ठीक है. uh, do I have another example? Yeah, so if you look at this particular picture, right, both of them are moving in this direction from left to right, and that is I've kept more information on the right side. Either ये जो भी झूमर है ये भी right side पे है, left, and then if you draw two lines equidistant, then of course they'll lie on the first line and then right wala space is available. So things like that is something that you need to look at. Again, will not be true in every scenario. जैसे कि इस केस में they are looking at each other, he is looking in this direction, she is looking in this direction, but still it's almost center, because again as a group unit they have to be symmetric in this case. So this is something which is like a rule of thumb कि हाँ ऐसा करना चाहिए, but this is not something that you can bend if the situation is different. जैसे कि इस केस में again the right side of the frame has more information available than the left side of the frame, कि जहाँ पे उसका हाथ खत्म हो रहा है उसके अलावा I have not kept any other space. But यहाँ पे I have kept more space because you need to look at what is she looking at. ठीक है. So that is how you use grids for portraits basically. A very common mistake that still a lot of people fall to is कि हमारे पीछे क्या रहा है, people don't look at that. कि these are just very common examples that I could find out of Google, कि उसके ऐसा लग रहा है कि उसके सर में से पोल निकल रहा है या उसके सर में से छाता निकल रहा है. These are very common examples. Even if I show it in my camera right now, if I stand it like this, does it not feel that ये जो पीछे की staircase है उसका जो rod है वो मेरे सर से आ रहा है या मेरे सर में जा रहा है, right? या if I stand like this, does it not look like कि वो मेरे सर के through जा रहा है, especially with the fact कि पीछे blur नहीं है enough. तो these are the things that are very basic. कि अब अगर जैसे मैं यहाँ पे खड़ा हो गया तो does it not look like कि वो झंडा मेरे सर में से निकल रहा है? It looks like that, right? So these are the very basic things. मतलब कि ऐसा कुछ बहुत like, and this is something that even I fall prey to even today. क्योंकि मैंने एक फोटो खींच लिया जिसमें ऐसा निकल रहा है तो वो फोटो तो गलत है, बट व्हाट आई विल डू इज कि मैं फोटोशॉप में इतने पार्ट को सिलेक्ट करके मैं उसको उड़ा दूंगा, राइट. बट ऑफ कोर्स मतलब इन द बिगिनिंग और not everyone will have that kind of bandwidth कि यार हाँ मैं हर बार फोटोशॉप खोल के इसको उड़ाऊं. बट इट इज बेटर दैट यू जस्ट कीप इट इन माइंड कि यार हाँ मतलब अगर यहाँ पे पोल है तो इसको थोड़ा सा राइट में शिफ्ट करके तब फोटो ले लो. I think I have a couple of examples even from my pictures that I could have done wrong. जैसे कि if you look at this picture, right, so now there were trees यहाँ पे. If you look कि अब it's a good blurred background, but if you look at कि यहाँ पे tree के branches हैं, I had actually asked her to shift from this side to this side क्योंकि actually वो पेड़ ऐसे लग रहे थे कि उसके सर में से निकल रहे हैं, right. There's still something that looks like it, but of course it's very very blurred, so then your focus would not go there. But that is something that you need to look at. I think I had one more example if I'm not wrong. I don't take it, whatever. But I think that's the point. This is something that you need to look at. Uh, in terms of lighting, right? Especially during daytime, it's trickier to shoot outside. क्योंकि you'll have different patches of light, you'll have shadows, so that is very difficult for your camera to understand. कि जैसे कि इस केस में you look at कि you are not able to see her hand at all. उसके चेहरे पे कहीं पे एकदम white आ रहा है, कहीं पे normal skin आ रही है, which is weird. So that is why it's so it's better that you shoot in good sunlight, you have enough light, all of that stuff, especially if you're shooting with a phone or without an external light. But what you need to also look at is, just don't step into the sunlight and you shoot there, especially midday times mein, jab sun is on the top of your head, then all of these things are going to be exaggerated even more. What you rather do is कि जो shaded place है, कि जैसे look at background, यहाँ ये वाला area, if you can see the cursor, तो यहाँ पे it's almost complete shadow. So you put the subject there, you put your model there, and then you click pictures वहाँ पे. So there you will not see such problem कि उसने जो after दिखाया हुआ है, this is a picture from Google, by the way, this is not something that I have clicked, but हाँ, now it does not look like कि उसके कहीं पे कुछ एक पार्ट में अजीब सी लाइट आ रही है, कहीं पे नहीं आ रही है. Everything is pretty evenly lit up, and that is not because कि कुछ कैमरा में डिफरेंस हुआ है. This is just because of fact कि लाइटिंग ठीक आ रही है, right? I think angle, this is a very common thing, I think, but some of us, I think I used to miss it a lot in the beginning. Try as many angles as you can, yeah. Matlab, like try clicking from a higher angle, clicking from a very low angle, कि एकदम जमीन के पास से खींच लिया, and all of those stuff. Like, you should try different permutations and combinations that could actually work. In some cases, even for portraits, although I don't have examples here, but when you click portraits from a very high up angle also, it looks good sometimes, like especially if you have a wide angle camera, or if you have a, most of the phones these days have a wide angle lens. If you use that, that looks very good at times, for even for portraits. And sometimes it looks very good if you're clicking from a very low up angle कि तुम एकदम जमीन के पास से खींच रहे हो. Like for example, in this case I was clicking एकदम पैर के पास से. If you look at it, इस केस में भी एकदम जमीन के पास से खींचा था, इस केस में भी ऐसा ही था. But I do have some pictures that I don't have in the presentation. But yeah, recently I've tried doing that as well. I click from a very high up angle, and that also ends up looking very good for portraits. So definitely try all of those things as well. Now in terms of editing, right? How do you edit, and what do you edit on? I think one very important thing is कि no matter how much you think कि हाँ edited pictures are better, it's only up to a certain extent. कि if let's say this picture is 100% edited, maybe this one is only a 30%, but it still looks better and more natural and more soothing than the this one which is 100% edited, right? So maybe you need to just set 30%. 30%, when I say 30%, 100%, it's just the intensity of the edit. So don't just ऐसे overly edit कि मैं सभी कर देता हूँ मस्त दिखेगा. Just keep it soothing as well, that it should also look like कि it's just not that you have gone overboard to do everything that you have in your editing app at the same time. Now people were asking how do I edit, right? So Snapseed is the very basic one that I recommend people to start with, because it's more simpler than your Lightroom. Also, Snapseed is free, Lightroom is also free. Lightroom is something that has a lot more control, rather than Snapseed. So that is something that I generally prefer these days. Like, especially when you are editing a portrait, you need to change the saturation or the color of the skin, or the luminance, the lightness of the skin, ki kitni dark hai, kitni light hai, all of that stuff. That is very easily controllable in Lightroom. So Lightroom should be the way to go eventually. But if you have never edited a single picture before, do try Snapseed as well. That would help you understand things. Uh, Now there's just one more thing that I want to cover, which is that how how did I work with people? How did I actually learn to work with people? Ask them to pose, or do things that was supposed to be the story of the picture. So now that is the last thing that I want to cover. Anything that people have asked in also, we will learn how to use software, or will we get to software by using it again? So Gaurav Singh has asked, how do we need to learn the software, or will we get to use it? Learn it by using again and again. I think the answer is both. You need to understand that what each slider in each app means. Like for example, Lightroom has a shadows, highlights, exposure, contrast, saturation, etc. I think most of the people would have heard कि ये सब क्या है, but I don't think everyone would be aware कि exactly contrast से क्या होता है. Like if I ask right now, okay, I'll ask right now, without googling, uh, how many people in the chat can actually tell what does contrast actually do? It's a one liner.
Raise your hand, we will make you panelist.
Yeah, just raise hands and Dhruvid, make them panelists. I'm just getting water, right? Just let's give 1 minute for people to think. Don't google, otherwise no point. I'll not give anything even if you're correct. So yeah. I'm just getting water. Give me 1 second, please, guys. Awesome. काफी सारे आंसर हैं यार. Highlights to objects, brightness, increase difference, control, color grade, separate highlights and shadows, maybe something different pattern of color. Brings clarity between light and dark objects, highlights and shadow separation. Yes, I think some of the people have got it right. Some of the people have given a little generic answer, but yes, it's somewhere around that. So if I tell you what contrast does, is that ki jo, it makes the lighter section of the pictures more lighter, and it makes the darker section of the photo more darker. So all of those people saying highlights and shadow separation, yes, it's correct. But how does it do that? It it increases the highlights, it decreases the shadows. So that is the exact line that I was looking for. I don't think, I think one or two people got it got it right. But yeah, at the end of the day, it increases the difference. So people were almost there in most of the sense. So yeah, the point being that you should know exactly what each of these slider means. Like vibrance and saturation is almost the same thing. Like both of them increase the amount of color present in the picture. But how does it do that? I think those things ke liye you'll need to watch some tutorial, some course, something. uh, there's a lot of good sources on YouTube for sure. And if yeah, I think that is a good way to go. I think there's a lot of good sources on YouTube. Just do that and then practice. Matlab, just watching that course will not make you a good editor or good photographer. Just practice as much as you can. So that is very important. I think there was just one more question that I was looking at. In first picture negative space exists है. मेरे को first picture कौन सा वाला याद नहीं आ रहा है गौरव, so I am not sure. I'll just look at it later. Is it good to edit natural photos? यार, is it good to edit natural photos? Depends. So at the end of the day, you need to define what you need when you're editing a picture. Like what I will click a picture of, let's say I click a picture of background or whatever, right? It will not be the exact same thing of what I am looking at even with my eyes. There's going to be some difference between what I'm looking at and what the phone is capturing even in its natural form. So do I need to edit to make it exactly same as how I look at it through eyes, or do I need to edit it to make it more heavenly or something? That is your creative choice. But even if you want to make it natural, I think you will have to edit it some to some extent, क्योंकि तुम्हारा phone is also not 100% accurate in terms of capturing colors. And even no camera is. So yeah, that is that. uh ठीक है, I think ठीक है, I think I don't see any social recommend for learning. Divyansh, I'll just answer two more questions. So Divyansh is asking ki sources. So sources के लिए I feel कि यार anything like, I think just search on YouTube. I think that is the best source. YouTube is the best source. Now any video with good views and something that is your style of explaining, I think that should be okay. I don't have any separate recommendation in terms of channels. I think there are a lot of channels that I follow, and all of them are equally good. ठीक है, I think there are a lot of questions. Actually, let's cover the questions at the end. I'll just continue with the last thing that I have, and then we will discuss just the questions. So let's just hold on to that. So yeah, I think my screen is visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool, awesome. So the last thing that I want to cover, which is a very important aspect in terms of portrait photography, is the fact ki how you actually, guide your subject, guide your model in terms of what you want out of the picture, right? So I think the first time that I actually had to do that was this shoot itself, and it was very tricky. That is why you see a lot of pictures where people are looking at the camera, have stopped their work and looking at the camera. What I tried to do was कि कि यार भैया ऐसा एक काम करो, आप जो कर रहे हो वही करो, आप मेरी तरफ मत देखो, आप बस नेचुरली करो. That was the first thing that I tried to do. कि हाँ बस अपना घिस रहे हो, आप मशीन चला रहे हो, मशीन चलाओ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. So that was the first time that I tried to do. Was not very good at it, but yeah, that is something that I started. When I started working with my friends, right, I realized that I although I don't have a task at hand, I think giving them some task or showing them what they have to do is actually a better way of doing things, like keeping things in motion. Like for example, if you look at the rightmost picture, what I told, it's a photo picture from Jaipur. What I told her was कि hey एक काम कर, तू ऐसे चल और फिर उसके बाद एकदम ऐसे जोर से पलट जाना, बस ऐसे तेरे बाल उड़ने चाहिए, बस तेरे को जोर से घूमना है. लाइक अ वेरी सिंपल थिंग. ऐसे मैंने एक बार करके भी दिखा दिया उसको, बिकॉज शी ऑल्सो वाज नॉट श्योर कि यार कैसे करना है, क्या करना है. देन शी कि हाँ मैं ट्राई करती हूँ. देन शी डिड 1 or 2 अटेम्प्ट्स. आई क्लिक्ड अ लॉट ऑफ पिक्चर्स थ्रू आउट द प्रोसेस ऑफ ऐसे घूम रही है जब तक वो 1-2 सेकंड के लिए. मैंने 1-2 सेकंड तक फोटोज खींचता गया ऐसे ऑन अ कंटिन्यूअस शटर, एंड वी had something good that we landed upon. Uh, Another good thing that I did with my friend who's in the middle was that I and she also used to look at pictures of other models and poses that we could copy. Now it's going to look, you're going to think कि यार ओ copy कर रहे थे क्या poses, ओ अच्छा ऐसा है क्या. But the thing is कि in the beginning, in any creative field for that matter, it's not very easy to actually have your own genuine content without being inspired by someone. When you are starting off, your inspiration probably be 100% कि यार तुम exactly वही कर लो, because even copying that stuff is not very easy. Like if you go outside today and you try to copy this middle wala pose, for example, which was we also had copied from someone, you'll realize that hey, it's not that easy, that you're able to give expressions, you're able to maintain your posture, you're able to maintain your hair, whatever. But eventually, when you have a master in copying any pose that people have done, then you will realize कि, okay, that is how people actually pose. So that is something that I also recommend, especially when you're working with models or your friends or whatever who don't have a lot of experience, that they also won't be able to guide you कि हाँ मैं ऐसे कर रही हूँ, तू इस तरफ से खींच. You'll have to have a very good source of inspiration for you. The third picture, which is the leftmost, is of a workshop that we actually conducted with a portrait photographer from Delhi. He was a known, and we had invited him over. So we were like, and that was the time of 2019 when I also had grown a lot. So I also knew that props, when you use something of that sort in photography, is also very important, especially in portraits. That we are shooting on a tennis ground, a tennis court. uh, Although the dress does not match, but it still should look like it's associated to tennis. Now if she had been standing there without anything in her hand, just doing something with her hand, that would have been a little more trickier for the photographer to do. Why it was easy is that कि हाँ तुम्हें रैकेट तो पकड़ने एक हाथ में, दूसरे हाथ से तुम रैकेट का आगे से पकड़ लो, that is done. So your hands are still sorted. Now you have to just guide the model in terms of where she has to look, try something with your leg, just do something else, try to sit down, put it behind your head. You try different things, and then you guide them specifically कि हाँ ये ऐसा करते हैं. And that is the next step when you have actually learned कि हाँ यार ऐसे पोज मैंने देखे हुए हैं, तो हाँ शायद वो ऐसे करेगी तो अच्छा लगेगा कंपेयर टू की इट लुकिंग ऑकवर्ड. तो दैट इज द प्रोसेस की आई थिंक द फर्स्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज यू जस्ट ट्राई टू कॉपी things that you have actually gotten inspired from. Like I'm saying copy because even copying is very hard. So just do that first. Then when you have actually learned कि हाँ क्या pose होते हैं, कैसे अच्छा लगता है, all of that stuff, then you can actually tell people ki hey, do this action that would actually कि हाँ ये करो या कोई टास्क दो कि हाँ तुम्हें ऐसे चलना और ऐसे घूमना है. But you also have to maintain a posture, a smile. थोड़ा बहुत धीरे धीरे with 1 or 2 tries they'll get the hang of it. And then use props, and then once you have enough experience in terms of कि क्या अच्छा लगता है क्या अच्छा नहीं लगता है, I think you'll be able to make them post better. Another challenge that was ki, with friends who are your age, teenager, like people who are 20, 20, 20, 21, 22, that is still a little easier. But for kids who are like 14, or with parents who are like 40, 45, that is even more trickier, because they don't have a lot of experience in getting pictures clicked. You have a big DSLR, a big lens pointed at them, and you have to tell them ha smile karo aur ye karo. It's tricky. Again, what worked here again was the fact ki give them tasks. Like for most of these pictures, what I told them was ki like for example, for this picture, this is a very good story that I have. Like these people were really sweet. We did not pay them, they were not paid actors, they were just friends, like people who someone knew. I just told them कि hey, let's do कि एक अंकल आप हाथ में बस कार्ड पकड़ के रख लो, and you have to then I told the daughter कि you have to explain them how XYZ app works. There was some app I was like कि they have not used this app, and then you have to tell them how this works. And I told the mother कि hey, ask questions. I told the father, say something funny, tell her this. I was just trying to make them laugh कि हाँ मैं कुछ joke मार दिया अपनी तरफ से. So I was just trying to do all of that so that they get a little more comfortable. Also, I did not take them anywhere out to shoot. This was their home, so that it's not like मैं उनको कैफे में बैठा के 4 लोगों के सामने कॉन्शियस करके फोटो खींच रहा हूँ. बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स इट्स स्टेप बाय स्टेप. मैंने उनको एक बार उनके घर में फोटो खिंचवा लिया, वो कंफर्टेबल थे, उनको फोटो देख के अच्छा लगा. नेक्स्ट टाइम आई टेक देम समवेयर आउट कि हाँ चलो अब बाहर खींचते हैं कहीं पे. For just for kids, it was a little more comfortable for them to actually step out and click pictures. This picture that is on the bottom left, it was a seller. Uh, we just went there randomly. We just asked them, hey, we want to click a picture with your counter. Can we do that? And they were sweet enough to say, हाँ कि खींच लो. Then we asked the lady who was there at the counter कि यार आप फोटो में आओगे, बस आपको इसको कार्ड ना पकड़ाना है, आप बस ऐसे करके कार्ड पकड़ा दो और मैं फोटो खींच लूंगा, उसकी बाकी कोई टेंशन नहीं है, आप बस एक बार ऐसे स्लोली उसको कार्ड पकड़ा दो. And you won't believe, the first take was brilliant. Like it looks like a very candid picture, people in the background working and stuff, and still it conveys what I wanted to for the particular company. Ki, someone is handing out a card to pay at the counter, or whatever was the theme, whatever they wanted to fit in. But you tell people, you give people tasks compared to saying कि हाँ बस ये पकड़ के खड़े हो जाओ, because then their eyes, their smile, their actions, their hands wouldn't look very genuine. Rest, that is, I have a lot of stories that I could tell and continue, but yeah, that is the point. Ki, you tell people what you are doing. Like in this case, she was just showing her some Instagram story. But does it matter? No, because at the end of the day, it looks like yeah, they're both looking at the app, they have the card in their hand. My work was done. No matter what, I gave them the story. I can frame the story on my own now. They are just looking at their balance and they're laughing because they don't have money in their wallet. Haha. But that does not matter, because at the end of the day, it's a picture. You can mold the story as you like. So yeah, that is generally how it is working with people. uh, that is all I have had, more or less. Is there anything else that I have? Yeah, I think same was with working with with my friends, my seniors from college. Again, gave them tasks, do this, and yeah, that is what it was. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think now let's discuss some questions
Okay.
if people have. Let's not do chat. Let's, if anyone has any questions, let's raise their hands. Shubham or Dhruvit will promote them.
We'll give you the access to unmute. Please raise your
Yeah.
hands if you have any queries. Okay. Prakul has raised hand. We are still getting the questions in chat. Okay, I'll give Prakul to the access to unmute. Prakul, are you able to? Okay, wait. Just try now.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to ask that how do you handle low light situations when you encounter them?
Okay. So Prakul, low light is definitely a step up in, when you're learning. I think it's a little more trickier situation. So depends on, I think it depends on a lot of things. Location you are in, or type of picture that you're clicking. Like if you're clicking a landscape photo, for example, what I would do end up doing is I would just try to fix my phone somewhere. I'll put my phone in manual mode. I think most of the phones also have a manual mode right now. If you have a DSLR, then it of course has. Try to keep the shutter speed as high as possible. Use it in a manual mode. Keep the ISO low. Keep the shutter speed high, 4 5 seconds, and then just click the picture. If it's a landscape, then of course things won't move. Your mountain won't move. Your phone won't move. So a 5 second timer would capture everything. Okay. If you're clicking a portrait, then it's a little more tricky for sure. What I generally try to do is, if if there's a light source nearby, is there a lamp, is there a sometimes there's a digital board जिससे लाइट आ रही होती है. So is there something that my subject can stand near to जिससे automatically light आ रही हो. If that is not the case, then of course you have to rely on कि कुछ दोस्त को बोल दिया कि यार फ्लैश की लाइट, ऐसे फ्लैश की लाइट जला के उसके चेहरे के थोड़ा पास और फ्रेम से बाहर खड़ा रहे, या फिर you end up using an external flash. So those are the things that you need to look at. Again, मतलब थोड़ा सा situation dependent है यार कि what are the resources that you have, where you are, what type of picture you're clicking. But at a high level, these are the things that I generally try to do. So yeah,
Thank you.
that answers. Cool.
I have met few panelists. You can ask your question by unmute yourself.
Satvik raised his hand. You can ask Satvik, the video panelist.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask what are the career options being an pass out from an IIT and if I have a good hand in photography?
Difficult question, man. Yeah, so see what I covered in the beginning, right? I'm not sure if you're there, but it's difficult and it's tricky to make the same amount of money that you would actually get from even an average placement out of IIT, right? I used to think that a lot when I was in my when and I just came in my fourth year. I was like, यार placement नहीं करना, code word नहीं करना, ये सब नहीं करना, photography बन जाते हैं. But when you end up looking at the market, you will realize that it's very difficult to it's not difficult to make a career. You can straight out of college be a photographer, but you'll probably earn one fourth of what you will even if you get a normal average job from campus. So that is why financially it becomes a very difficult decision to actually get into photography right out of college, right? And that is why I wouldn't really recommend ki hey, take your career in photography right out of college. uh, Still what you can do is ki there are a lot of commercial work. There are 2 3 genres of photography that actually earns the most. First is wedding. Ki wedding is something that is considered one of the well paid photography ka lines. It's cliched. No one, your parents will be like IIT इसलिए किया गया, but that is the truth ki photography में that is the highest paid segment. The second best paid segment is, if in terms of photography, is that you get into commercial photography, which is like you click for brands, you shoot like lifestyle photography or all of that stuff. If you end up in video, then there's a third line, which is advertisements. Again, matlab, it works around commercial work, but all of the good advertisements that you look at, like for example Kritagya ad dekhe honge sabne. So there's a brand called Supari that works on each of those ads. Each ad costs like 40 or 50 lakhs that they charge for each 30-second ad. So that is also a very good line of creative side. But I don't think it would be very easy to get into one of those brands, or get that the same amount of money again, because financial decision be high. But yeah, those are the things. Yeah, what I actually would recommend, or what I am actually trying to do on myself as well, is ki doing it as a side project. I'm just trying to make a brand on YouTube, click pictures, on weekends whenever I get time, take some freelancing projects. So that is still, I still do photography whenever I get time, but still I did not have to make that hard choice of taking the non well off financial route. So higher.
answered it, I think, pretty well. I have another question. We'll be in college for like 4 years. So, what are the ways we could earn being in campus?
Yeah, see, honestly, I'll tell you, right? I did not earn a lot from my photography. I think I earned like 25K, 30K types maximum. uh मतलब यार if you just want money, if you just want to earn money, I think there's a lot of ways. जैसे चेक वगैरह करके प्लेटफॉर्म है जो कि जिस पे you can mentor, you can tutor, you can teach about JEE. If you actually want to earn through photography, it's yaar ki you can, again get freelance projects if you are good enough. People, matlab, like I did not approach anyone from my end. I used to get projects because people wanted me to shoot for them. And I was like, hey, yaar, this is something that one of my friends want. Do you want to shoot? And I used to say yes according to the sort of time I had. क्योंकि कॉलेज में भी काफ़ी सारा कुछ होता रहता था. Nearest project would be Delhi. I had to travel to Delhi for 4 or 5 hours to get a project. Most of the times I thought that it's not worth it. It's not probably worth the time that I go to Delhi for shoot just for 10,000. Miss out on something, miss out on my academics or something. So higher, I think that is something that is my take on it.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yes, Gaurav, ask your question if you have.
Gaurav, you are in mute.
Yes, if you have any query, you can ask. There were a lot of queries in chat box.
ठीक है, I'll just look at chat box then. I
Yeah.
think since people are not asking here. Career options, I think Swastik has us. Yeah, so I think Yash had asked ki I'm facing problem in adjusting color grading. How should I master it? Yeah, see, Yash, and for everyone also, it's going to take time. It's not going to be a week or a month. It's going to take probably a couple of months till you are better at it. A very good thing. So just keep doing it. That is one part. Second thing is that take feedback from your friends or anyone that has even a little eye for a good picture, and take critical feedback. Like they'll say, "हाँ हाँ, oh bro, बढ़िया लग रही है तो मस्त photo है," but that does not tell you anything, help you learn anything, right? You need to ask them कि यार bro क्या खराब लग रहा है ये बता. अच्छी तो लग रही है ठीक है, but give me some feedback जो मैं next photo में ठीक करूँ. That line, that sentence, that question is going to be very important for you. Like even today when someone tells me कि अरे यार तेरा वीडियो देखा था बढ़िया था, I'm like कि हाँ बढ़िया तो था ठीक है, but क्या खराब था और मेरे को क्या बेटर करना चाहिए वो भी बता मुझे तू. So that is something that you should keep doing all the time. मतलब हमेशा in your career, in everything, not just photography. But हाँ, ask for feedback. I think that is very important. When are you coming to campus? Not sure यार, I don't know. Probably somewhere around April I'm coming. So हाँ, I'll definitely let you know and would love to meet you all here. At this stage, should I buy a camera? Someone has asked, at this stage, should I buy a camera? I don't know what stage, but what I would recommend is if you want to even get into photography even a little, before you invest 30, 40, 50,000 in a camera, uh, actually two things you should do. One is that click enough pictures from your phone, learn to edit, see if you're actually liking the process or not. Second thing is कि यार try to use camera of some of your friend first, because it's a very big investment, especially for someone in college कि 40-50 हज़ार रुपए कैमरा पे लगाना है. I personally used a friend's couple of friends के camera for a couple of months. मतलब मैंने पूरा एक सेमेस्टर लोगों के कैमरा मांग मांग के यूज़ किया, एंड दैट एक्चुअली हेल्प मी डिसाइड कि कैमरा लेना चाहिए नहीं लेना चाहिए. तो दैट इज व्हाट आई वुड एक्चुअली रिकमेंड. जस्ट होल्ड ऑन टू द थॉट. अगर तुमने ऑलरेडी यूज़ किया हुआ है, तुम्हें पता है, तुम्हें पसंद है, देन ऑफ कोर्स गो फॉर इट. बट या टेल अस अबाउट internship in photography. यार इंटर्नशिप नहीं था फोटोग्राफी में, आई वाज जस्ट डूइंग अ फ्रीलांस प्रोजेक्ट. आई हैव नेवर डन एन इंटर्नशिप इन फोटोग्राफी. जस्ट ऐसे हमेशा 2-3 दिन टाइप के प्रोजेक्ट किए हैं जिसमें 2-3 दिन लगा है मेरा लाइफ का. सो या I think Gaurav has asked what is the difference between portrait mode and normal photo. No, so only difference is that in a portrait mode, अभी जो कि शुभम का हो रखा है ना कि शुभम का बैकग्राउंड ब्लर हो गया है, एंड इट्स नॉट ड्यू टू द कैमरा, इट्स ड्यू टू द सॉफ्टवेयर. कि सॉफ्टवेयर डिटेक्ट कर रहा है कि शुभम कहाँ है, शुभम ये है और पीछे बैकग्राउंड है. सो दैट इज व्हाट योर कैमरा डज, मोबाइल का. ऑल्सो इट जस्ट ब्लर्स द बैकग्राउंड, जस्ट डज इट जस्ट दैट योर फोन कैमरा डज इट अ लिटिल मोर ग्रेसफुली देन वेबएक्स. वेबएक्स में तो ऐसा लगता है कि क्या ही हो गया है, बट phone does it a little more gracefully. So that is the difference between portrait mode, background blur. Is it okay to edit a phone in phone after? Yeah, so Anand has asked a good question. So each of your native gallery app actually gives you an option to edit pictures. There are two things that I find problematic with them. One is the UI itself. यार मतलब इतना difficult होता है उसमें edit करना ना जो native editor होते हैं, that it's very bad. अगर किसी को पसंद नहीं आता तब भी the amount of editing options that I have is very less in your native editor. You don't have option to edit individual colors, you don't have options to edit curves, you can't see before after, so it's very bad. So would not recommend key for normal editors use karo. Try, like, if you have some experience, then try Lightroom directly. If you don't have, try Snapseed is a little easier to learn. And yeah, there are some functions in Snapseed that Lightroom does not have, so that is also something you can try. What excites you about portrait photography? Or working with people? Working with people is something that I like, so that is why portrait is something that I do. Which camera do you recommend? Yeah, depends on a lot of things, man. Matlab, I don't want to recommend one camera that would fit everyone, but I would say ki get something that is in your budget and try to see if you can get a mirrorless camera. Those are the two things that I'll say. The rest, I think, reviews वगैरह तो मतलब YouTube पे सब स्मार्ट ही हैं यहाँ पे, तो मतलब ऑफ कोर्स चेक कि तुम्हारा बजट क्या है, उसमें क्या फिट आ रहा है, उसके कंपैरिजन वीडियो देख लो, बट डेफिनेटली गेट अ मिररलेस एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम and get something that is in your budget. Don't extend your budget by like 2x just to get a DSLR. You can also try to get a second hand camera. I think if you're getting it from someone known, try to get a second hand camera. That also works, like especially for people in college. जब तुम थर्ड फोर्थ ईयर में आओगे तब इंटर्न के पैसे से नया खरीद लेना सीधा. हाँ, I know a lot of people that have done this, so yeah, that is that. Anyone else that has any questions, anything?
One thing. Like many a times, like in portrait photography, were there instances of like where you went to someone that I'll click your photo and they said no, we don't want our photo to be clicked.
Yeah. यार नहीं, not exactly, मतलब it's not because they don't want pictures, it's like it could have
Camera
been
time.
because they're shy.
Yeah.
Like मेरे friends ही, मतलब ऐसे नहीं कि not someone random, but like people because they are shy कि यार अरे यार नहीं भाई मैं नहीं खिंचवा रहा ये वो, but हाँ मतलब it's not been like that ever. Do I want to do that कैसे random लोगों की फोटो खींचो जाके, but नहीं अभी तक तो नहीं किया वैसे, but हाँ मतलब नहीं, I think that one has not been the case really. I think
Okay.
initially I just asked close friends कि यार कैसे खींचना है कि आई वांट टू लर्न दिस, तो चलना ट्राई करते हैं, ऐसा कुछ चापो दे दूंगा.
Yeah.
तो ये सब चीजें करके I could convince people. Although on a different note, I remember, कि when you're clicking portrait pictures, especially with someone who's dressed very well, you're clicking with a model or something, तो people लोग ऐसे देखते हैं कि यार ये क्या कर रहे हैं ऐसे. Even when you're in Delhi, so then I've seen that happen. So that is something that of course you will face, yaar, ki, you have to ignore people when you are shooting in public, when you're making vlogs in public, when like I'm like holding my camera like this, talking to a camera, and people like कि क्या कर रहा है ये इंसान. So eventually you
Yeah.
learn to actually ignore people.
Mhm.
That कि ठीक है, मतलब लोग देखेंगे ही, लोग बोलेंगे ही, बट उसकी वजह से तुम क्या अपना व्लॉग नहीं बनाओगे या तुम अपनी फोटो नहीं खींचोगे. You'll do that still, right?
Mhm.
तो हाँ मतलब that happens here.
Yeah.
Is there any way or rule to find good camera angles by doing again? यार look at inspiration. मतलब if you look at inspiration कि लोग कैसे खींचते हैं, क्या खींचते हैं, I think that would tell you a lot about कि उन्होंने कैसे खींचा है. Like if you look at a picture, you'll realize कि उसने ऊपर से खींचा है, नीचे से खींचा है, कहाँ पे क्या रखा, क्या positioning करी. So look at inspiration a lot. Like follow good photographers on Instagram. Like whatever genre of photography, whatever you want to explore, just follow a lot of people from that on your Instagram. And then just keep on looking at their work, and don't just like हाँ scroll करके आगे बढ़ गए. Just try to see कि अगर तुम्हें कोई फोटो अच्छी लग रही है तो अच्छी क्यों लग रही है, कि उसने कैसे अरेंज किया, बैकग्राउंड को कैसे किया, पोज कैसे करवा, क्या पोज था, कैसे खींचा, जो भी करवाया. But just look at all of that. That would tell you first. Second thing is कि again, like when you are trying something out on your own, then also do a lot of iterations. That would teach you. So yeah. uh, Anyone else that has any questions, has been promoted or wants to get promoted? I think we can take one more question before we go. ठीक है, I think no one is there.
Receiving any questions? Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah. people are like suggestions of smartphones and cameras.
नहीं smart मतलब there's no good rule to it, right? Like there are a ton of smartphones. Like I can suggest you, हाँ, get an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Will you get it? नहीं ना, because I don't know your budget. I don't know what you're looking for in a phone. So I think it's very subjective. You have to, like, even when I am getting a phone, I look at like 10 review videos to actually decide which phone I want to get.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not only about the camera, also.
हाँ मतलब I think people might be looking at it in terms of camera here, but you know that is not the only thing that you will decide it based on, right?
Yeah.
Like you won't get a Windows phone because it has a good camera. So yeah, I think matlab, you know, decide your budget, look at reviews, look at what you want, and then, you know, make a, and that's it here. I think it's very difficult for me to tell one thing that would fit all. Like I want to upgrade a phone. I want to get an iPhone 13 Pro because, you know, iPhone has a pretty good camera for videos, and, you know, I actually want an iPhone because I have a Mac that, you know, it has a good compatibility with. I am ready to spend 10K more to actually get a better phone. You know, that will help my, you know, that will make my life easy. So that is why. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not suggesting anything. Swastik. Satvik, sorry.
Yeah.
ठीक है, cool है यार.
Yeah, I guess we are done with questions. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, there's one general query about the competition, landscape photography competition. So since we had our deadline till tomorrow evening, tomorrow end of the day, so probably we'll be giving the results after that. Like it's quite obvious. So sir will be judging it. That's for sure. But yeah, you can expect the results by Wednesday. So yeah. Also, oh, yeah. Please turn on your cameras. Sir's gonna put us on a block.
Yeah, if everyone can turn on their camera, that would be really great. I just want to take a small clip of everyone, जो भी at least are on the panelist. Yeah. So I'm going to start calling names if people don't do that. If anyone is on the is not on the cannot turn on their camera or audio, just raise your hand. एक बार Shubham, can you make them
Yeah, sure.
panelists so that they can?
Yeah, sure.
Satvik, you had asked a question. Turn on your camera. Yash, Mohit, Shriram, Rashi, Surya, Prakul, Khushi, Anand, Mohit. कहाँ है सब लोग? Yeah.